This is the first Nightwing Iceberg on the internet from what I could find. Oddly enough, I made it myself, and I wasn't expecting there to be significantly dark and disturbing events in Nightwing's history. Every single thing at the bottom traumatized me in my research, from infidelity, other unspeakable stuff. It made me rethink about making this video, and explains probably why there wasn't a Nightwing Iceberg before. Take that as your warning. But for now, let's start at the tip of the iceberg. First Robin. Dick Grayson Nightwing was the first Robin. Introduced in April 1940 Detective Comics issue 38, he's the first teenage sidekick, teenage superhero in general, and paved the road for future Robins and young superheroes such as Spider-Man. Truly, a generational character.
Hamburgers, medium rare.
May I recommend Bat Burgers?
Bat burgers?
Teen Titans. This refers to the extremely popular show, Teen Titans, an excellent cartoon that was more accessible than the interconnected DCAU at the time. A show that was filled with heart, action, character, a show that handled serious topics, a show that resonated with many. A lot of people these days know Dick Grayson's Robin through Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go.
On your mark, get set.
This also refers to the comics version of Teen Titans, but it's more so talking about the show since that's more popular. Origin as Robin. Dick Grayson was a part of the Flying Graysons, a dynamic trio of gymnasts who performed in a circus, made up of him and his parents. Dick Grayson's Robin alias came from his parents' nickname for him. One day, tragedy would strike, as the refusal of the circus owner to pay his debts to the mobster Tony Zuko led to Zuko sabotaging the show, and turned the Flying Graysons' performance in Gotham City to be their last. At only 12 years old, Dick Grayson's world had shattered, but he would quickly find out that he was not the only one whose world was once shattered. Bruce Wayne, seeing himself in the boy, adopts Dick Grayson. Although they didn't get along early on, they grew very close as father and son. Bruce once made a promise to his parents that he would rid the city of the evil that took their lives. A promise that he no longer pursues alone. A promise that the grief they both went through would end with them. Arkham. This refers to the Arkham version of Nightwing. We don't have much information about him. All we know is that he appears as a voiceless playable character in Arkham City, and he officially appears in a significantly worse design in Arkham Knight, where he loses a fight with Harley Quinn and gets captured by the Penguin. Shorts. This refers to the controversial design of Dick Grayson and Jason Todd Robin with the uncomfortably short shorts. The intention at the time was to highlight Robin's youth, but nowadays most people say it's quite strange, and since then the pants that came with Tim Drake's design became the norm for most Robins. Starfire. Starfire is one of two popular relationships associated with Nightwing, arguably the more popular ones thanks to the Teen Titans show and the DCAMU. These two have a special bond, and it's always better if Starfire is taller. The Bat Family. Lastly, at the very tip of the iceberg, if you know about Nightwing, you'll know about the Bat Family. There's too many members to name, but it encompasses a lot of past or current Robins and Batgirls, an iconic part of the Batman mythos, which we've oddly never fully seen in live action yet. Let's dive a little deeper now, to right above the water. Yams. Obviously about Nightwing's iconic bakery. It's a very common and very true gag about how attractive Nightwing is and how juicy his cheeks are. Many people credit the origin of this international phenomenon to Secret 6 issue number 9, when it was one of the first times Nightwing was drawn in a pose that highlighted his iconic rear end. DCU. This is about two things: an upcoming Teen Titans DCU movie that's surely gonna feature Nightwing, right? And the maybe canon, maybe non-canon movie about Red Hood and Nightwing being made by a very creative and unique studio, Barbara. Barbara Gordon is the other one of the two most popular Nightwing relationships. Barbara Gordon was the first to create and take up the mantle of Batgirl and worked closely with Dick Grayson Robin before the two got together. Through the trials of Gotham, this couple fights through it all together. This is why some people prefer this couple, as they both are a part of the Bat family and deeply understand the struggles of having to build a better Gotham. Injustice. In the Injustice story, Nightwing straight up dies by accident when Damian Wayne, Bruce's biological son, accidentally kills him. To honor his fallen brother, he takes the mantle as he operates under the name Nightwing in the Injustice universe. DCAMU. A very freaked out but pretty good adaptation of Nightwing. A lot of people got to know Nightwing through the DC animated movie universe. In these movies, he's with Starfire and gets close with Damian Wayne. You wanna find out more, just go ahead and watch the movies, man. Young Justice. In this great show, Robin turns into Nightwing off-screen and became the way many of us found out about Nightwing, including me. Sporting a serious attitude with the classic Nightwing charm, this version of Nightwing goes through so much with his team in Young Justice. Just give the show a watch, I don't want to ruin it for you. Original design. When Nightwing debuted, he had a very quirky and iconic outfit. Eventually, it would be redesigned later on to what we know and love. Most people who aren't much of a comics reader already know what we've talked about so far. So let's start dipping our toes in the water as we get into the stuff only people who've truly looked into Nightwing will know. Bloodhaven. I'll just say Bloodhaven for the video. Bloodhaven is Nightwing's main city of operations, as Gotham already has the Dark Knight. It's located beside Gotham City. Bloodhaven is Gotham if Gotham hid its corruption through a colorful smile of flashy lights and neon signs. From the outside, it's like a mesmerizing city of dreams, but inside, it's a deeply broken pit of despair. But through that despair, there's a certain hero jumping through rooftops whose smile is as infectious as his good deeds. Deathstroke. Deathstroke is Nightwing's main adversary, dating back to his Teen Titan days. Slade Wilson hates the fact that this young man is somehow a better fighter and blames him for the death of his son, Grant, who took a dangerous and unstable super soldier serum from Hive to help face the Teen Titans. Unfortunately, he suffered heart failure and passed away. DCU casting. There has been a large debate since the DCU began about what actor could possibly play Nightwing. Nightwing is known for his supermodel level looks, electric charm, humor, and acrobatic ability. Finding an actor that checks all the boxes seems near impossible. Some people have even said that it simply just is impossible for anyone to play the Boy Wonder himself. Titans. From the live-action Titans show, it's strangely enough the only live-action appearance of Nightwing. Not much to say since when I watched Titans, it personally wasn't my thing and I fell asleep. But he's the only live-action Nightwing, so there you go. Live-action movie. In 2017, when the DCEU wasn't permanently dead yet, there were plans to have a Nightwing movie, directed by Chris McKay, who also directed the Lego Batman movie. It was in pretty good development, but when the hierarchy of power changed at DC, despite attempts by the team to keep the project alive, it was cancelled. Leaping into light. The most popular Nightwing comic due to its breathtaking art style and accessibility, most people getting into Nightwing gravitate to the story, though opinions on it are mixed. The story, spoilers, follows after Alfred's death, leaving Dick Grayson a very big inheritance. An inheritance he uses to try to help the city of Bloodhaven. He adopts a cute puppy, takes on new villains like Heartless, who physically steals hearts, and gets trained for murder. Barbara's in the story a lot as well. Deceased. In this dark version of the DC universe, Darkseid captures Cyborg. He extracts the anti-life equation from him and summons Black Racer, Death, basically, to help complete it. This mutates the equation into a plague, first infecting Darkseid, then continues to spread through screens. Eventually, it reaches Wayne Manor and infects Tim Drake and Dick Grayson Nightwing. As Bruce attempts to analyze the virus, he protects Alfred from his infected sons. Bruce gets bitten, and Alfred is forced to put down Tim Drake and Nightwing. Bruce survives long enough to tell the League how it spreads, but in the end, Alfred has to be the one to put Bruce down as well. DCAU. In the DCAU, Nightwing appears in the new animated series, where he sports a mullet. What's interesting is after the show, Nightwing's fate is left completely unknown. He doesn't appear in Batman Beyond or Justice League Unlimited. The explanation supposedly is that after Tim Drake goes through the Jason Todd treatment, Nightwing leaves the Batfamily. Also, he gets paralyzed and loses an eye to Joker. The Dark Knight returns. In this timeline, Dick never becomes Nightwing. After Bruce's abusive and hypercritical behavior to Robin, he fires him. I don't think you can just fire your adopted son, Bruce. Dick Grayson goes mad. Desperate to correct his supposed weaknesses, he goes into gene splicing therapy. He gets a healing factor and shape-shifting powers at the cost of his sanity. He becomes the new Joker. Batman kills him in a volcano eventually, as Batman does. It's taken weeks to make this video and I only have 22 subscribers. I've seen AI-generated channels that have 100 times more than that. Please subscribe, like, watch my other videos, share my channel, just support me any way you can, please. I don't and will never use AI in my videos. And I'd like to throw in an honorable mention that I forgot to add to the iceberg. Gotham Knights. This Nightwing is unrelated to the Arkham version and appears in this standalone game with Batgirl and Red Hood. I've heard pretty good things about this version of him, so I suggest you play the game for yourself and find out. It's probably gonna be on sale knowing these games. Like I said, this is the only Nightwing Iceberg on the internet from my research. I'm sorry if it leaves out a lot of stuff and it's organized weirdly, but alas, let's continue. Let's swim deeper to the next tier. Name origin. When he joined the Teen Titans, he started to spend less time in Gotham alongside Batman, even dropping out of school. All of this started to really agitate Bruce, so he told Dick that if he didn't want to be Robin anymore, he could just retire. So he does what everyone in DC should do. He talks to Superman. Clark tells him a story from Krypton about a man whose family cast him out. A man who, despite his circumstances, dreamed and fought for a world of justice. A man who was only known as Nightwing. Inspired, Dick borrows the name Red Suit. When the new 52 launched, most superheroes redesigned, including Nightwing. He sported a red and black suit, tying him closer to the color scheme of the Bat-family in this era. Unlike others who have had edgy suits that represent a dark time in their life, this was simply just a weird redesign. Red is a pretty angry color which works for characters like Red Hood, but not for Mr. Smiles-A-Lot, so this suit would eventually come to pass. Supergirl. This just refers to a popular ship of Supergirl and Nightwing, especially after a recent comic that showed Kara and Dick Grayson and Robin teaming up. Not much to add since they never really got together. Chuck Dixon. I'm currently reading this right now, so I can't spoil the story. Chuck Dixon is a writer whose 1996 Nightwing comic run defined the character into the one we know now. It was the first time he stepped foot into the city of Bloodhaven and is the run that people recommend to be the starting point for those truly wanting to get into Nightwing. Multiple Nightwings. Several others, apart from Dick Grayson, have taken up the name of Nightwing. Zach Edwards. During an era which we'll get into at the end of this tier, Zach found an old hideout that had Nightwing's gear, so he distributed it among first responders and himself, taking upon the mantle of Nightwing Blue during his absence. Many of the others also went under the Nightwing name. Tad Ryderstad. Growing up in an abusive household in the sad city of Bloodhaven, he escaped into a world of comic books and pop culture. Inspired by neon signs and local vigilantes, he named himself Nightwing, not knowing that there was already someone with an identical name. Nightwing was a terrible vigilante, beating up innocents he thought were criminals, and eventually took the life of an undercover FBI agent, leading to him being hunted down and captured by the authorities and Nightwing. Cheyenne Fremont. Cheyenne is a telekinetic metahuman who hid her powers and lived a normal, successful life as a clothing designer. Her path would eventually cross with Nightwing, where the two would be romantically involved. Her life was even saved by Nightwing at one point, which made her respect him even more. Dick encouraged her to be open about her gifts and use them to help, but she was still afraid of revealing that she was a metahuman. One day, Jason Todd Red Hood was captured by a powerful pair of bad guys, so she made her own Nightwing costume and used her telekinetic abilities to help assist Nightwing in rescuing Jason. There's probably more of them that I missed, but those are the ones I could find. Zatanna. Zatanna and Nightwing's romance exists purely in the Young Justice show. It happens before Dick turns into Nightwing, which by then the two have split up and are on very good terms. Batman mantle. There was a time when Bruce was presumed dead, so to prevent people like Jason Todd from taking up the cowl, Dick decided to drop the mantle of Nightwing and become the Batman. A difficult decision, as he's always tried to build his own identity completely separate from Batman to escape the large shadow of the Dark Knight. And now, not only was he in the shadow, he was the one casting it. He needed to match Batman's attitude, which we all know is vastly different from Nightwing. He needed to tear a part of himself away just to maintain justice in Gotham. Yet he still did it because he's a hero. He even took this time to connect with Damian, making this dynamic duo not one of father and son, but of two brothers. Donna Troy. Donna Troy is a superhero Amazonian who's very close friends with Nightwing, dating back to the Teen Titans days. They share a deep, platonic connection, not a romantic one, despite what some fans have wanted or believed. Dick even walked Donna down the aisle at her wedding. Married. In Nightwing Annual Number 1, 1997, Dick Grayson went undercover to unravel the mystery of Emily Washburn, whose husbands had all died in strange circumstances. It was a real marriage, signed the legal papers and all, even a genuine ceremony. It turns out, however, Emily was innocent, and worst of all, she genuinely loved him. Dick prevented the marriage before it was filed officially. Sonia Zuko. Nightwing once dated Sonia Zuko. Yes, Zuko as in the Tony Zuko that got the Flying Graysons killed. Sonia is his daughter. She serves as the head of the Gotham Global Modern Bank. Dick interacts with her as a civilian businessman, securing funding from her to reopen Haley Circus. She is still unaware that he is Nightwing. She distanced herself from the Zuko name and hated her father's criminal legacy. Over time, Dick and Sonia grew close enough where they would share a morally ambiguous relationship. Eventually, Nightwing discovers Tony Zuko is still alive in Chicago, leaving Gotham and thus splitting up with Sonia. Rick. Lastly on this tier, when Dick Grayson was shot in the head by KG Beast, he suffered intense brain trauma that made him forget everything. The Bat family, being Robin, being Nightwing, all gone just like that. Even his own name, so he used the name Rick and worked as a taxi driver in Bloodhaven. He was like this for 2 real-life years. He was shot in 2018 and regained his memory in 2020. For 2 years, there was just no Nightwing. This was just an absolute terrible decision by DC, and it's an era many fans would like to forget. It's been pretty light so far, but let's start going deeper into the next tier as things start to get serious. Objectification. I'll keep this quick. It's been a controversy over the last few years of how many people, including DC, have objectified Dick Grayson. I'm not knowledgeable enough to continue this part since it's definitely a serious topic, but I'll bring it up nonetheless. Harley Quinn x Nightwing stems a great amount from the Batman and Harley Quinn DCAU movie where, well, you can see the scene play out in front of you. I'm not a fan of this. I think it's really weird, so I'll gladly move on. Snaps the Joker. Who could blame Nightwing? In Joker Last Laugh, issue number 6, after being led to believe Joker murdered Tim Drake, Nightwing beats Joker to death. But don't worry, Batman is here to save the day, performing CPR to bring the clown prince of crime back to life. I'll let you digest that. Brotherhood. You know, I'm a small channel, okay? I made this iceberg at like 4 a.m. I have no clue what the heck Brotherhood refers to. My notes told me it's Brotherhood of the Bat, but that has nothing to do with Nightwing. I'm sorry. Infidelity. In Nightwing Annual, issue number 2, it's revealed before Starfire and Nightwing's wedding, Dick slept with Barbara, which led to him calling off the wedding at the altar. This is a disgusting part of Nightwing's history that's thankfully been retconned to have never happened. Helena Wayne. Helena Wayne is the daughter of Catwoman and Batman in Earth 2. Why does she appear here? Because like I said, it was 4 a.m. and I was tired. I'm pretty sure I mixed her up with another Helena who did Nightwing, the one who's Huntress, but for some reason I put her in the bottom of the iceberg, so I'll just ignore that later. I don't know, man. This is why you should subscribe, so I'll be more careful with my videos, knowing there's a big audience for it. I could even do a remastered version like 10 years. Again, I'm so sorry. Infinite Crisis. In the Infinite Crisis event, it was originally planned by Dan DiDio for Nightwing to have permanently died in this event after he was severely injured. DC pushed back, and thankfully Nightwing still breathes to this day. It's not like he would eventually go through other stuff, like lose his memory for 2 years. DCAU comic. I hate the relationship between Barbara Gordon and Bruce Wayne. Bruce would know Barbara since she was a minor, especially in the DCAU. Even though we first see her when she's like an adult, you think Gordon didn't talk about his daughter to Bruce before then? Disgusting! You know what salt to the wound? Impregnating your best friend's daughter and adopted son's ex, as Batman does in this thankfully non-canon DCAU comic. This has done irreparable damage to how I see Bruce in the DCAU. Every time I see his face in the show, I have this horrific page burned into my memory. Jimmy Clark. In Nightwing issue 1, 2011, we were introduced to Jimmy Clark, a clown in Haley's circus who's a very old friend of Dick Grayson, one of the remaining bits of his past before Robin, when he was still a part of the Flying Graysons. Jimmy Clark would be killed only because he resembled him. We are now in the final tier. Catwoman x Nightwing. This ship doesn't exist, or at least it shouldn't exist. In this issue, Catwoman flirts a bit with Nightwing. The fact that this was even thought of, it's just really strange, man. The Inheritance. I cannot find any pages of this online. I've only heard that it has some strange, odd tension between Bruce and Dick, and from that, I refuse to elaborate more. Blockbuster. In a storyline in the 2000s, while teaming up with Tarantula, after Nightwing goes through so much because of Blockbuster, too mentally broken to do anything, Tarantula shoots and kills Blockbuster, thus defying Nightwing's no-kill rule. Blood is now on his hands. The guilt gets to Dick and he collapses into a state of complete shock, leaving him vulnerable. Tarantula. Dick Grayson enters a panic attack, unable to move or breathe properly, as Tarantula starts to straddle him. Nightwing explicitly tells her not to touch him, yet she continues. As the rain pours, Nightwing doesn't even have the time to process the trauma he's been through, as Tarantula forces herself onto him. He's left helpless, drowning in his sorrow, in his guilt, in the rain, and the actions he's being forced to do. this horrific event would be ripped away from canon. But it doesn't change the fact that it was still written and drawn to be published. It's terrible. Mirage. In the 1992 Total Chaos crossover, Mirage came from an alternate future where she was with another version of Nightwing. Arriving in this past timeline, she becomes obsessed with the younger present-day Nightwing. To get to him, she uses her powers to kidnap Starfire, Nightwing's current partner, so that she could steal her identity and be with Nightwing. They would sleep together, spend days together, while Nightwing was completely unaware that it wasn't actually Corey. He was being violated without even knowing. Mirage was even the one who convinced him to get the mullet. Imagine that, being with who you believe is your true love, not knowing that it's a completely different person in disguise, someone who's hidden away your partner for their own personal gain. You are being violated without even knowing. Liu. Robin, the boy wonder, the first teenage sidekick, the first teenage superhero in general. Liu is an experienced adult con artist who needed to gain access to Bruce Wayne's corporate resources. She decided to target the vulnerable young Robin, to pretend to be in love with him, taking advantage of the hormones of a growing boy, going so far as to be Robin's first, to be the one to take Richard Grayson's innocence. He was 16. This event, along with the character of Liu, would also be ripped away from canon completely. Sorry for the issues, inconsistencies, and etc. This is a very popular character, and it shocks me that there isn't an iceberg of him I could find. I suggest you guys make your own for a more experienced iceberger to make a video about. I wanted to make this video to try to make light about a lot of the terrible, terrible things Nightwing's been through. If you are still a kid and someone like Liu shows up, do not engage and instead go to the authorities. It doesn't matter if the person violating you is a man or a woman or whatever you find attractive. If it's against the law, it's against the law for a reason. Maybe one day I'll come back with a bigger, remastered, polished iceberg. But until then, share this video around and get people talking so that one of the big iceberg YouTubers can make a bigger, better one. Nonetheless, please like, whatever, right, subscribe. Just thank you so much for watching. This took so long to make. It took really long. It really means a lot if you finish the whole video. Thank you so much.